Well, welcome back. Always good to be with you, especially when I have my man Matt with me. So, Matt, good to see you.
Great to be with you.
Yeah, we're coming into some of Matt's favorite time of the year. As you can tell by his wardrobe, we've officially entered into fall. We're breaking out our earth tones and our browns, and
Thanksgiving night, it will then transition to Christmas flannels.
there you go. And Matt will be singing "In My Christmas Jammies" in every song he can. But we come to you this week of Thanksgiving. I'm guessing you could guess our topic. It's gratitude, right? And one of our favorite phrases is lack of gratitude is the enemy of joy. That phrase it was shared with me by a friend of mine a couple years ago, and it's come to have such an impact on me. That phrase that it really permeates a lot of what we do, I think, a lot of our coaching. It's actually the phrase we put in our Thanksgiving cards this year and every year. Lack of gratitude is the enemy of joy. And the reason I love that phrase so much is, yes, it centers us on gratitude, right? Because, by the way, the inverse of that is entitlement is the path to misery. So if lack of gratitude is the enemy of joy, what that really is saying is entitlement. And I think when I say entitlement, we all probably think of certain names or faces that are in our life. Entitlement is the path to misery. And to think that we can control our level of joy or misery with the attitude we choose to embrace, the attitude we choose to live with and attack the day with, to me is very freeing. Mm-hmm. Right? I just find that very freeing, and also just like a moment of wow. We get to choose whether we want to be filled with joy or we want to be miserable.
Well, what you're feeling is actually, a chemical reaction in the brain. Won't go into too deep.
Remember, he's a psych minor or psych major. Matt's bringing
Excuse me, I was a psych major.
You're a major psycho. I'm sorry. Yeah. Is that the same?
Similar. I think that was the minor.
Yeah, okay.
But there's an actual reaction in the brain when we're practicing gratitude. So absolutely, it's real that gratitude, not just necessarily the goodness you're feeling, mm-hmm. it's your body at work and your brain at work. And I absolutely love this episode. We've probably been doing this for 3 years now, maybe 4, kind of like when people are like, hey, Matt, how long have you worked there?
Yeah, right.
Depends on what day of the week you ask me. It's somewhere between 7 and 10.
It just feels like forever.
Yeah, whatever it may be. But that, the gratitude is such a big thing, and it's a great reminder for me. And I just had an observation, knowing we were going to come in and do this, and we talk about that loving to win or hating to lose every once in a while. And I'm someone as well that I hate to lose. The wins, okay, great, keep moving. Hopefully we invoice them and keep moving forward. The ones that we lose just get me. And so that's like in my personality, in my mindset. Where can we improve? Where can we get better? So if you're anything like myself and Bill in many ways, you probably need some more gratitude in your life, or being able to stop and not necessarily not look to better, double negative there, to better yourself, but take opportunities and take moments to be thankful and to have gratitude. And that's just something that, I put together. Another interesting thing, because I've been talking about this for the past week, and there's an interesting observation from one-to-ones, because we challenge people, who are the people that you have to show more gratitude towards? Personal life, the professional life. And this individual had a really good observation. You know what? Every time I have a conversation with this function in the business, they know it's going to be bad news. They know that I'm interacting with them for a purpose that probably isn't great. And so their idea was to call them and just be grateful to them without a need, without that noise. And I thought that was so interesting. So, do we interact with people all the time and it's just bad news, or the function of the business that you play? And I thought that was a really interesting observation by them when I challenged her, and that's who she thought of.
Yeah, that's a great observation, because I think that, when you think about that, there's people in my life that usually when they hear from me, when I give them a call, it's because something's gone wrong, or I'm bringing that news to them, or I need something from them, or right. And how often do we find people that make our lives better, which these people probably do, and let them know that we're grateful for that, and just say thank you. And I'm reminded of a dear friend of mine, Greg Weimer, who, for the first time, I'll very vividly remember the first time he said to me, "I appreciate you." I was like, "What?" Completely took me off guard.
What's he want?
Yeah, right. And he said, "I appreciate you." And I was like, "What?" And that's one of the first times somebody ever said, "I appreciate you," and it struck me, and it meant something to me, and so much so that I've made it a practice of mine to let people know I appreciate them when I do. There's people in our lives that need to hear that, right? There's people in our lives, and I don't know who in your life needs to hear it, but like here in our building, we're in an office tower, and we have cleaning people and things that come through the door, in the hallway. Do we stop and let them know that we appreciate them, right? Do we stop and let the people, especially the people that can be invisible to others, the people that are used to just doing what they do and not getting noticed for it, do we let them know we appreciate them? I think that's important, right? That's a practical application of how we can show gratitude. And what I've learned is not only that you talk about the brain activity and the chemicals that are released and make us feel good. Yeah, that's great. That's great for us, right? But what do we trigger in someone else when we let them know they have value? What do we trigger in someone else when we let them know how important they are, that we appreciate them? I always think about, and Matt and I are blessed. We get to work with folks that have usually been very successful. We get to work with a lot of folks that might be entrepreneurs and business owners or senior executives. I mean, these are people that have achieved great things. And sometimes inside of a large client, we'll work with somebody. I have one individual I work with that there's like 3,000 people in their organization. That's a big role, right? I mean, that's somebody who's, and as I always explain to them, when you get to those roles, you're no longer just one of the guys. You're no longer just one of the folks that everybody sees. When you interact with somebody, they go home and tell their family about it. And I always like to remind people that if you see someone in the hallway and you take an interest in them and you talk to them and you ask them how they're doing, you ask them how their family is, you ask them what's going on, if there's anything you can do to help, whatever that might be, right? That seeing them as a person, which I think we can all do better at, seeing people as people. When you do that and you're in that level inside of an organization, people go home and talk at the dinner table about that. They say, "Hey, I bumped into Matt today. You wouldn't believe it, but he asked about you." They go home and tell their spouse, or they go home and tell it means something. We have that impact. We all can have that impact on people if we care enough, if we want to let people know how special they are. It's good for us. It can be great for them, and it can be the highlight of someone's day.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I think the question that this leads me to, when we're evaluating who, we all have those people in our minds when we look at the roles of our life.
Roles,
ROLES. My accent comes out whenever I say that. I had to do speech therapy, the roles. I feel like when I was young, but when we were looking
Matt and I both, ironically, we both took speech therapy when we were in grade school. I couldn't say THs in my R's, so I used to say totin. And don't laugh at me.
Sometimes it still comes out.
It does. I'm sure it does. When I'm on calls, I always think, did I just say that right? I'm sorry, guys.
But the roles, ROLES, and we can find friends and family members that we should probably be reaching out to and keeping touch with, or if it's the novel idea and the great thought that the person that we coach had of who's someone I always interact with and just never say thank you. So regardless, my question is, it's Thanksgiving week, great time to be centered and to think about that, but how do we carry that forward? If gratitude is so important, and whether it's how we make ourselves feel or how we make others feel, depending on our role or the chemicals in our brain, regardless, how do we make that a practice that's daily, weekly, would you say? Because I think that's the important thing. To do it once a year, great, better than nothing. But we come to this every single year. And how do we carry it forward? How do we keep it going? Because it's so impactful.
Yeah, I'm making a note here as you say that because otherwise I'll forget it. So I'd say two things on that. Why do we find ourselves or others lacking gratitude? It's typically because we want more, right? So our society, our culture, or whatever it is, or just us, and we have to take ownership of it. We constantly want more, right? There's always this sense for more, more, more. And one way to start to appreciate things more is practice delayed gratification. So how can I look at something and push it off and say, no, I'm going to delay that gratification on what I want to go buy, or, my next trip to Target or whatever it might be. So delayed gratification also, by the way, is a hallmark of people who are the most successful and experience the most joy. So delayed gratification is one thing. The other thing, and part of that, an extension of that, of always wanting more and always be, and I'm guilty of this. I always want more, and I'm very futuristic. So when you do Gallup strengths, which we use Gallup strength assessments with some of our coaching engagements, my top two strengths are strategic and futuristic. It's really hard for me to live in the moment. Right? My brain just is always going to things. So for me, it has to be intentional practice of daily gratitude. So before bed at night, as a family, we come together and we have to say what we're grateful for. I have it in my day planner, right? So it makes me take pause throughout the day and practice some of that gratitude throughout the day. So I think that's another thing. Delayed gratification, keeping it at the forefront, being mindful of practicing gratitude. And then I think one of the great things we can do is be where our feet are, right? Just be where your feet are. And if you're going to be where your feet are, it means I'm engaged with that person that I'm with. I'm engaged in the moment. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not thinking about whatever. I'm not doing online shopping. I'm just where I'm supposed to be, right? And, I was talking this week with one of our clients, an accomplished executive, global territory, all around the world. I was like, hey, that's great. Just be mindful of when you're home, right? Be mindful when you're with your kids. Let's be where our feet are, and that'll help us be in the moment and also experience some of that gratitude.
Yeah. Well, I learn from you every day, and one thing I just took from that, because I've never heard that or put it together, the delayed gratification, and how has technology changed that? I'm thinking as you're talking about that, Amazon, you could literally have anything that you want by like dinner.
Right. Susie and I always joke and say there's things on Saturday we buy and it shows up before you leave for Mass on Sunday. Yeah. It's like, where are they? They just sitting outside waiting for me to say, bring it in. It's amazing.
Exactly. And so that delayed gratification, because I struggle with many of the same things, the futuristic, the goal setting, I'm all about that. But being where your feet are, I do want to practice that delayed gratification if it means actually going out to a store or waiting for the proper time or talking about it with Paige and making a group decision and not just doing something rash, quick, get it done, move on, and really enjoy it. I thought that was that's a great idea. And to make it habitual, because we talk a lot about planning, time management, energy management, Stephen Covey's quadrants. I mean, there's all kind of stuff that we discuss in that realm. But we have to be intentional about it. So however you plan, whether you use your phone or you're like us old school, you actually have a day planner and write it down.
We use pencil in so we can erase mistakes.
Yes, absolutely. Be bold enough to make that a section. One thing I'm grateful for, or once a week to call someone that I have to show gratitude. That's a way to keep it going throughout the year, because if we just keep it up here and just think about it and eat turkey and then great, maybe we'll think about it at Christmas. But this is so powerful for not only yourself, but others in your organization, your prospects, your clients, your personal life. This is something that we get a lot of feedback on year in and year out. And I would love if we hear those stories through January, through February, through March, through April, rather than just like, I reconnected with this person and it was great.
Yeah, if it's so great, why don't we do it all the time? Yeah. Right? So that's our hope for you in this season of Thanksgiving, that you recognize, and by the way, Matt said something about clients, prospects, all that. Another way to appreciate people and actually move towards caring about people more is to be grateful for them, even if they're tough to be grateful for. There's people out there that are really tough to deal with. And what do we do with those people? We usually say what a pain they are. Why are they like this? Why can't they be? What if we stopped and thought, there's something good in that person? There's
Even
something.
if it's just a challenge for us,
right?
to appreciate that.
Right. Just for them to get us better. Maybe they were put in our lives to help us develop greater patience, but there's something we can be grateful for with every individual, as tough as that might seem at first. Because as I said that, somebody popped into my mind.
And I know
said,
who it was.
There's no way I can be grateful for that person, but there's something to be grateful for there. So that's our prayer for you guys this week, is in the season of Thanksgiving, this season of gratitude, that you're able to embrace gratitude, that you're able to practice gratitude and allow it to help you on your journey, your continuous journey towards seeking that joy, that peace, and that fulfillment that comes from these lives we live and lead. And I think we can get there. So hope you have a great Thanksgiving.
We're thankful for them.
That's right.
The viewers.
Oh, we're thankful for you guys. See, that's why you're in charge, buddy. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you. Have a great Thanksgiving. Take care and God bless.